السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, welcome to our weekly program, Got Questions. I'm going to quickly share that on our page as well. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti Saab. How are you? Mufti Umar Saab,
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm fine.
so good to see you. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. I know that you had a very long, busy day with your teachings, your asbaq, your students. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
Alhamdulillah.
increase for you and allow all of us, and of course your students and the entire ummah to benefit from your presence. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
Amen.
increase you, Mufti Saab. Mutsab, let's get directly to the questions, inshallah. And of course, we have the rest of our scholars join us shortly. Mutsab, we live in a place which, of course, the Western world, as we say, where we have people around us of all faiths, all cultures, all backgrounds, all religions. As Muslims, question is, how do we interact with those that are around us that are not Muslim with regards to saying salam to them? Or if they say salam to us, how do we respond back to them? Sometimes we find people who are not Muslim, but they are in need of charities, in donations. Can we support? Can we help those who are not Muslims with our donations and our charities? So, Mufti Umar Saab, if you can kindly enlighten us with that.
Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem amma ba'd. So, the first question is very important in the sense that many brothers ask about this question. If we can say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to non-Muslims, and if they say sometimes they say assalamu alaikum, so we should say wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ya wa alaikum salam or not. So Mufti Usmani Sahab has written that if you say assalamu alaikum, or if they say assalamu alaikum and you reply with wa alaikum salam, so if you do this with the intention that your this behavior and your this way to meet them will make them closer to the Islam, and they will come closer to you. They will understand our deen, our religion, our norms. So with this intention, you can say assalamu alaikum, and if they say assalamu alaikum, you can reply with wa alaikum salam. And you ask about if we can give our donation to non-Muslims or not. So in this answer to this question is a little bit detailed. So some donations like zakat and sadaqatul fitr, these are called mandatory sadaqat. And these donations and sadaqat cannot be given to non-Muslims. These are specific for the Muslims. Yes, there are other sadaqat which are called nafli sadaqah or donations,
Optional.
optional donations. So such donations can be given to non-Muslims as well.
Jazakumullah khair, Musab. That's really, really grateful. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti Mu'assab. How are you?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, I'm fine.
MashaAllah, good to see you, Mufti Saab. I hope all has been well with you. We began with the question with regards to saying salam to some of our people that we live around with, Muslims and non-Muslims, and of course sharing some of our charities. Mutsab, this was a question that was recently asked, and of course I know that mashallah gets spread some light on it, but we wanted to share this as well with our brothers and sisters. Someone had asked with regards to the 401k, that is it permissible for one to take a loan out from their own 401k account, and they would have to actually pay back interest on the loan that they have taken, and all the money paid goes back to their own account. So this could be a twofold question, Mufti Sahib, and I know that you had previously mentioned to us with regards to a little bit about 401k as well. So if you can kindly shed some light on a person taking a loan from their own 401k and paying back an interest to their own loans.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. If someone wants to take a loan from his own 401k portfolio, it's permissible for him to do that. And if he has to return that with interest, then if that interest and the entire amount is going back into his own portfolio and no one else is taking anything, then he can do that. So that will not really be interest. He's pretty much taking from one pocket of his, putting it to the other pocket of his. So there's no interest being involved here. The term used is interest, but that's not really interest. But if that amount is being given to someone else, maybe the broker is charging that fee, or the broker is taking an amount, then that would not be permissible. Then that in that case it would be interest.
Jazakallah. So, Musab, for a person to put back that money into their own account in simple words would be acceptable, but
Correct.
depending on also the portfolio of the 401k as well. So, not just any 401k, but we also have to see the details of those 401ks.
Correct. The 401k must be Sharia compliant. The investments there must be in accordance with the Sharia.
So, Mutsab, what are some of the options for the Muslims with regards to the 401k portfolios? Meaning, is there any individuals, corporations, companies, or what are some of the steps that a normal individual can start taking? Of course, along with looking for guidance from their local scholars. What are some of the major steps that one can take to make sure that their portfolio is as safe and clean as possible?
There are many brokers that are out there that do specialize in Sharia compliance brokerage. You can refer to them. I don't know. I don't have any in mind at the moment, nor do I endorse anyone. If someone, many times you can find out by referring to them and then finding out about them from the scholars that are around those people.
Sure. So if someone wants to come to a scholar and be able to run their portfolio, how possible is that? Meaning, for example, someone from amongst ourselves, and someone reaches out or reaches us to children of Adam, is it a possibility that that could be run, or is it does that require something in a lot more greater depth?
It could be done. It could be done.
Okay. Okay. So it could be done, for example, if there's someone who has a 401k account, a IRA, or a retirement plan, and if they would like some of our scholars to provide that service of running their portfolio and seeing if it's Sharia compliant or not, then they can definitely reach out to us through email. We'll connect them to the proper individuals that they can definitely individually consult and take their services from, inshallah.
So,
Assalamu alaikum.
If you have some
Sure.
questions from brother, you can ask. Otherwise, I would like Mufti Sahib to explain a little bit more 401k because I think Mufti Sahib had explained it in previous episode, and because normally people ask about this question. So if you explain in 1 or 2 minutes which are the very common forms of 401k which are not allowed, which we say that definitely because they are interest based or any other you know, uh, wrong thing. So we say that these are not allowed. So if you can explain 1 in 2 minutes, Mufti Muasa.
So do you mean the portfolios or the structures or the retirement plans? Because 401 is one of the structures of the retirement plans. So are you talking about the structures of the retirement plans, or are
Yes,
you talking
yes,
about
yes.
structures of the retirement, not the portfolios or the companies
No, no.
itself, right? Oh,
Structure.
The structure of the 401k would is pretty much that there's the investor, there's the person, the employee's investments, and then there's the employer's investments.
Mhm.
So when it comes to the employee's investments, then you must make sure that that is halal, uh, that is Sharia compliant, and that would be zakatable as well. As for the amount which is invested by the employer, then whatever is vested that would be zakatable. Anything besides that would not be zakatable until it's vested. In regards to that, also that should be Sharia compliant. The person should make sure that the investments themselves are Sharia compliant. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
So if for example, like generally it is said that 3% or 4% is deducted from your salary, and then the employer adds the same amount, and then it is invested in different venues, and then the whole thing come to you. So suppose if the whole amount which was from your salary and which was from employer, and then it was invested. So if it is invested in a non-Sharia compliant venue, and then it comes to you, investment plus profit. So even the profit is not allowed, but can we say that that person can take his own investment plus his employer investment, because his employer has added some amount with his investment?
You're talking about can he take his capital back?
Yes. For example, if 3% from your salary is deducted, and the employer adds 3% more, and this 6%, whatever the amount is, $10,000 or $15,000, then it is invested in a venue which is not Sharia compliant. and it earns some profit, and the whole thing come to you. So how up to how much you can use, and you will have to not
You
donate it.
In the event that there is a profit, then you can take the capital. If
Hmm?
it's Sharia compliant, then you can take the capital, and the remaining will have to be given away in charity. If it's non-Sharia compliant,
Only profit
Only
you will
only
have to donate.
only
but
capital.
only the capital you can keep. The profit you will have to give away.
Okay.
So I think with regards to the Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, the 401ks, 403bs, and most of these are regards to like the various retirement plans, which are voluntarily plans, right? And I think the Islamic perspective of all of that is determined by understanding the Sharia rulings on where these retirement plans are invested, as Mufti Saab mentioned. Some of them could be like mutual funds. Some of them could be like money market funds. Some of them could be bonds. Some of them could be CDs and stocks and shares. So I think with regards to that is as Mufti Saab also mentioned, is that it will be permissible to invest as long as the fund selected is compliant with Sharia. But majority of the funds offered by many of the companies with the plans like Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs and 401ks and 403bs, they really do not meet the requirement itself. But uh, however, there is an alternative where your IRAs and 401s can be set up with a brokerage or brokerage to invest in lawful stocks at one's own discretion. So I think that's very, very important that people who are involved or looking into it definitely look for scholars who can help them set up their individual portfolios in a way that is Sharia compliant.
So last thing, Mufti, I would like to ask. One brother asked about actually this, that if he gives 3% of his salary, then employer will add more 3% from the organization, and then it will be invested into a avenue. So suppose if that avenue is not Sharia compliant, so if he says that my focus or my intention is to get that 3% which is from employer, so can he take this plan with this intention, that my intention is to take that 3%, my intention is not to take the profit which is not Sharia compliant, and then he will donate that profit. So with this intention, can he be allowed to take this plan?
I don't feel he should do that because investing in the haram itself is something which is impermissible. Then
Mhm.
the profit that he earns, which is haram, that's also something else that's haram. So the start itself is haram. So he should not do that. He should keep his
And,
money invested in a halal way. If the
and
other
if
one,
he if he's not sure that this will be invested into haram you know activities, he's
by
50-50.
by default, we would consider it to be non-compliant because we know how the market is, and people will invest in places which are more volatile, which are more uh, lucrative, and in most cases, these things are not Sharia compliant. So by default, we'll consider it to be non-compliant until we find out by for a fact.
A question that someone had asked on the direct messenger for children of Adam was if I have 41K, I think it might be 401K, from my employer only with their contributions, how do I find out if it is under the Sharia law? Meaning they're asking if their employer is contributing, how would they know? I guess they find out about their portfolio.
Exactly. As far as I know, you can also see the portfolio that your employer is giving you.
Hmm.
Is
But
it possible? Is it possible to have a 401k without your own contribution?
that also, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, that's. I don't think that's possible as well. You have to.
Maybe they don't know about it.
Yeah,
Maybe they don't know that they're also contributing. But I think 401k, it literally means that you also contribute something to it.
correct, correct. So are you guys ready for this question? This is gonna be. Oh, just hold back the emotion questions. Brother Moin Qureshi, a dear friend of mine, asks, "Assalamu alaikum." I have to answer you on the message too, bro. So don't think I forgot. Assalamu alaikum. Can you talk about sports and sports related activities during the time of Prophet, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how if he participated in them or not? Would be great to learn a bit of information on this. So I think that it's a very good question. Everyone is hyped up. Mufti Umar Saab is gone because But he's gonna be back. I think a little bit of issue began today with one of the posts from an influential Muslim speakers in the U.S. With regards to the winning of Mufti Abdullah Sahab. Mufti Abdullah Sahab is just laughing, and I think it created a sense of chaos for many individuals where they had attributed or the success of the two Pakistani matches they won, and then it just became like a wildfire in the comments. Some people bashing one another on how you can watch sports, how you can support one another's. So it became very, very delicate. It became a very delicate situation. So I think that's where the question arises: is that, can we talk about sports, sports activities, or how do we draw a line, right? So I think that's a very good question. Brother Moin, I'm going to send you a link. You should come live and ask this question. We don't want to take this question just by writing. But what do you what do you guys think? How do we, I guess, draw the line? I guess. I know you're not a cricket fan.
I'm not, man. I'm not. I'm not a cricket fan. I'm not really patriotic when it comes to these things. There was a few people messaging me too. They're like, "Yo, why aren't you showing any emotions?" And I said, "I don't care about cricket." Since you asked, I'm saying this. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. I said I don't care about cricket. I don't care if Pakistan won or India won. It doesn't mean that Islam won. So this is also some people take it like the Battle of Badr or something. Like there's Muslims on one side and Kuffar on the other side, and Yom al Taqal, what is it? Yom al Taqal Jam'an. That the two armies meet, and whoever is going to win, they're going to be truthful. It's not that serious. Yeah, I understand people are very, very patriotic when it comes to these things. It's understandable, but what I find ironic is I'm just going to make a few comments. What I find ironic is that those same people that are so patriotic on it's a Muslim country and it's this and it's that. I mean, where is the Islam other than that game? Where is the Islam other than when it comes to sports? Islam is not just sports. Sports actually comes way down in the line. Islam is much more than that. So there was also, there was a few restaurants on Long Island where they hosted all these buffets, and a few. There's even some in our community. And the amazing thing is that you'll see people. There were people lined up. I even saw in like the Halal Guide app or the Facebook group. There were people lined up for that like an hour before the entry even started. And I made a comment. I was like, imagine if people lined up for Fajr like this.
Oh, Ajib, Ajib, Allahu Akbar.
Subhanallah. So it's just a comment. I'm not really an idealist where I look for ideal situations, but that was something I couldn't pass up.
So I think, well, let's, if we can go. I know that it may require a little bit more research on our part as well. But when it talks about sports and sports related activities as Muslims being involved, or how do you take like the sense of honor for your place or your country or your team, and how deep can you go in that? And I think how much or less involved our Sahaba or people were in these particular incidents. I'm not sure how we can sort of tackle that. Mufti Muassab, any thoughts?
Not really, but just frankly putting it, watching sports is perhaps one of the most futile things out there. Just frankly putting it there. A person does not benefit anything from it. Yes, there's a bit of emotions and a bit of happiness that a person enjoys for a few moments. But overall, especially when it comes to cricket games, sorry to say, but I believe it's about almost half the day that goes in the game. I wasn't while in South Africa, I do remember some of the guys going out and watching the matches. And they would mention how it's like 9-12 hours, and like really you're wasting 9-12 hours of your life sitting in front of a game, in front of the TV screen, and it doesn't really affect you whether a person wins or loses. It's just that momentary happiness or sadness that you feel. If a person's playing himself, that's a different story, where he's enjoying and he's actually having something, he's experiencing something. So as Muslims, we're guided to maintain our time and do something which is productive or beneficial, preferably in both worlds. And if not in both worlds, then at least in this world, it should be beneficial for us.
Mm.
right? If we're sitting in front of the screen for 9, 12 hours and then there's no benefit there, then we should judge ourselves in that case.
Mm. Mufti Abdullah, you were going to say something?
I was gonna say a lot, man. I don't know. I don't know if it's distracting a person from their prayers and stuff. Obviously, that would be completely haram. That's impermissible. But I don't know if it is a waste of time, man. It is definitely a waste of time. Any sports, football, soccer, anything is a waste of time, because you're literally doing nothing. You're literally just watching on a screen, doing absolutely nothing. Your emotions go up and down, but it's not benefiting you at all. As far as the question of how deep can we go, I just look at it in a way where even if it's Pakistan playing or Saudi Arabia playing, they're playing for their country. They're not playing for Islam. So it's the team that comes. Yeah, they might be Muslim. They're all Muslim probably, but they're not really representing Islam. They're not representing the truth. They're just playing a game, for God's sake. It's just a game. Yeah, so people are so serious.
No, we're getting sad emojis. People reduced to, I guess they're now like 20 overs. But my second question, I completely agree with you guys are saying. The second question would be is that when you represent or you are for a team. So, for example, you live in the U.S. or I know a lot of friends who are Giant fans, and they like make like special like dua before like Sunday or a Saturday night for Giants to win or something like that. You can't even make dua like may the best team win because they're not. Astaghfirullah. So how do we as in Islam stand? Oh, is it permissible in dua for my country's team? I think that's something that also comes in. So the question is like, how much patriotism do you show in a sense of a team where we begin to negate others, put down others? Meaning, is there a drawn limit, or do we find any prophetic traditions? As you Mufti Abdullah Sahib, you mentioned, it's like it's not like getting the ghaira up in a battlefield of giving ash'ar or something like that. How do we see this now?
I think there is a difference between patriotism for an Islamic country versus jingoism. That's a new word I discovered. Jingoism, yeah, jingoism. I'm gonna read you the Google definition. Extreme patriotism, especially in the form of aggressive or warlike foreign policy. So I think there is a difference between patriotism for an Islamic country that you're from versus going so extreme that you hurt people's feelings, you say things which are inappropriate, you waste time, you take out more time for such a game than you would for an Islamic program, or forget about some program, for your own prayers. So I mean, these are all things to keep in mind. That's the difference between patriotism and jingoism. If you're really, really patriot, this is my own perspective. Anyone can disagree with it. I'm not telling you the Sharia perspective or what the fatwa is, but I'm just telling you how I think of it. If you're really, really patriotic for an Islamic country because they're Islamic country, then I think the best way to show patriotism would be to embody the Islamic teachings instead of cheering on their cricket team. I don't see anything wrong with cheering on the cricket team as long as all the above are being done, and quite frankly, those things are not done.
So the question is, but enjoyment through halal means is allowed as long as it does not affect our religious obligations? Question mark.
I mean, I'm not saying it's haram. I never said cricket is haram. I never said that, but I said that if we have to get our priorities straight, very, very, very frankly, if our priority is if we're going to kebabji's 2 hours before they open their doors, but we never go to the masjid for fajr, where are our priorities? I'm not judging anyone. I'm just asking everyone to ask themselves this question: where do our priorities lie? Yes, cricket is once a year or maybe a few times a year, and fajr is every day, but how many times a year have you ever done that for even fajr? So, I mean, that's something that we need to look at. Wallahu a'lam. What do you think?
Mufti Wasap?
I'll pass.
Mufti Umar Sahib, you're back after the heated conversation.
There
Yeah,
was, there was good food waiting for
Oh
me.
man, no, so enjoy that. I guess enjoy that. No, Mufti Abdullah Sahib, I completely agree with what you are saying. Is that we really have to set our priorities right of what we are doing, and then I know that sometimes these things come out of hand where we're unable to draw lines, like Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's interaction with a group of young men when they were carrying stones from one place to the other. And the Nabi of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked them that, what makes you carry these stones from one place to the other? And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, they said, we are competing to see who's the most powerful amongst us. And the Nabi of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, shall I tell you something that is better to test who's stronger amongst you? And they said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, the one who is the first to seek forgiveness after a separation between two individuals, right? So, subhanAllah, this is so ajib. The Nabi of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is, teaching is that even when they are competing with one another, he's bringing them back towards their own deen and religion itself, So, question, if we pray Fajr in Masjid, we can spend 4 hours in kebab.
that's why I was laughing. That's funny, man. That's funny.
Oh man, so if you prayed Fajr in Masjid, we can spend 4 hours in kebabs.
I mean, that's not the standard, man. I just mentioned that as one action, but that's funny. That's funny.
So the question is, are there any sports that originated from the Muslim lands? Mufti Abdullah Sahib, don't say competitive eating.
Ah, I don't know, man. Is
So
there?
So when we talk about archery, when we talk about swimming and other things like horseback riding, yes, that's in the books that comes in as a sense of reward for individuals. But I think the question is like more of the origination of the sports itself, right? Not in
Yeah,
what comes in
I don't
hadith.
know of any sports that originated from Muslim lands. Wallahu alam.
But
That's a
there
good
are
question.
certain ones that are more
Gulli
recognized
danda.
than the other.
What's up? What's up? Sorry.
Gulli danda. Gulli danda.
How do you translate that?
In Pala, in Madaris.
What is it? Kabaddi?
Mufti Muasa, when it comes to the sports, is there any particular hadith that comes to mind with regards to sports for individuals?
Not necessarily originating, but when it comes to sports, we do find the Sahaba radiallahu anhum engaging in things as you've mentioned, archery, swimming, horseback riding, and these are sports where you actually feel, you actually do things. But besides that, if a person wants to go play basketball, soccer, football, I can't really say about cricket, but the other ones that are more active, then I don't see a problem in that, provided that a person doesn't miss out in his salah or his other obligations.
Then Musa, what about Ludo?
That could be under something that maybe works out your brain.
Oh, come on. Look, in order to play cricket, you have to go through intense workout to make it to the field. Now, people may say that certain people are not even healthy and they're on the teams, and that's a whole different discussion on how they actually made it. That's more of like critic politics or something like that.
I think if we're saying one is permissible, then one sport is permissible, then it would be unfair to say cricket is not permissible. Sports make you healthy and active. Yeah.
No doubt.
I'm not saying
Sport
cricket is not
healthy and
permissible,
active.
it was just to poke fun at those that are.
Yeah, I know.
I ask my students
general-
every day
in
about
general,
almost every
sport-
day that every one of you should go and participate in sports, in basketball or volleyball and whatever, but you should do it so to remain the healthy and active.
In general, any sports or any games that you play yourself, as long as you're staying in line within the bounds of Sharia, you're not missing your obligations, you're not doing anything haram, in that it would be permissible. Whether
That's
it's
why Alhamdulillah, we have just established our gym in which inside our students will be able to play. Inshallah, we are starting from right now. After this program, inshallah, we are going and we will start volleyball and basketball. So our students, even male students, female students, in separate times, inshallah, they will able to play. Even though when there will be snowfall outside, but because this is inside, so inshallah. Just to share with you.
On the topic of sports and games, I get this question a lot from students and from other kids. Is chess permissible or impermissible?
Just
Chess.
Sitranj, right? I think Sitranj, or how do you say it? That's the words that the hadith also comes, right?
Yeah, shatranj. So the
Shatranj.
hadith obviously mentions that that's impermissible, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Before I open a can of worms over here, I want to see what your thoughts are.
Chess, according to the Hanafi, Maliki, and Hanbali legal schools, is not permissible. Only the Shafi'i is permitted, and that too, Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah gives reasons that it's to exercise the brain and to work out the brain in preparation to be strategic in other aspects. So, in preparation of that, a person is permitted to play chess. But majority of the legal schools are of the opinion that it's not permissible to play chess. If someone asks why, then for that we would say it's amr ta'abudi. It's something that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam advised us not to do, and that's why. Whether we understand the reason or not, that's a different issue.
Interesting. Subhanallah. A lot to do with cricket today, huh?
Yeah, man, it's a lot, man. You guys trying to get me in trouble.
Mufti Abdullah Sahab, you're in a lot of trouble from Kababji and crickets now.
Yeah, apparently. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But
No,
I don't hate cricket. I mean, when it comes to sports,
Yeah,
I'm a big. What's up?
Free advertisement? Maybe you should get a discount.
Yeah, I definitely need like a 90% discount next time I go. I'm just kidding.
No, but I think Mufti Abdullah Sahab, your points are very valid. Meaning, this is just an example to the larger issue or problem at the community, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not poking fun at any specific sport. I mean, I'm into you very, very frankly. I know this is gonna have a lot of comments on there and questions, but I like UFC and I like boxing. Now the question is, are those permissible? Are those permissible to do? Obviously, not to do. Are those permissible to watch? I'm not gonna answer that question. So I watched. I'm gonna let you guys answer that question. I watched them.
We let Khabib answer that himself. Where he
Yeah. So the thing is that even over there, when it comes to like UFC, people are going crazy. I mean, I'm for Khabib and stuff, but to think that by supporting Khabib, you're supporting Islam in some way. I don't. There's a difference between that. He's a person, and Islam is a religion. Yes, he practices Islam outwardly and very publicly, which is a very good thing. He's one of the few sports figures who does it in that way, which is very good. But there's a difference between obviously one person and an entire religion. But at the same time, I don't. There's a difference between wasting all of your time doing it and just doing it passively. One is very, very actively, and one is passively. I just do it very passively. Saturday nights is usually UFC, whatever. I just put it on, whatever. Play with the kids, talk with them, and I'll have it on the side. And usually, most of the time, I won't be even watching it. I'll just watch the scores at the end.
So one last question, a non-sports related question. I think we'll conclude with this. In our campus, one brother lead Salah who wear such a short pant that shows his aura. Is my Salah going to be valid if I pray behind?
It's a good question.
If you're praying salah behind a person whose aura is uncovered, then your salah will be invalid behind him.
So, Musab, in this particular case, shall this individual repeat their salah as it wasn't completed, or they should avoid from the future times?
They should repeat the salah itself.
Okay, because of the conditions of
the Hanafi, we understand that the question is coming from a Hanafi, and the Imam was also a Hanafi. So the salah was invalid, and the salah should be repeated.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan. That's really helpful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, reward you, inshallah. And we can only make dua, may the best teams win. Mufti Abdullah Sahab, is that okay or no?
Yeah, someone said, by the way, Bangladesh cricket team needs more than just dua. Yo, this guy.
Oh, man, by the way,
you guys are too much, man.
I think they're following cricket a lot more. Oh,
yeah.
man. Subhanallah. Allah make it easy, and inshallah, hopefully, Allah, subhanAllah, Allah make it easy for all of us. Going khair, afiyah, inshallah. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters, for joining us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our gathering here. Allow us to keep upon Sirat al-Mustaqim. And brothers and sisters, the true purpose, alhamdulillah, behind these, programs and events like this is to really learn and go back to the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be pleased with us. So with this, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to live our life according to Quran and Sunnah. Inshallah, we'll see you next week. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.